Okay, welcome back. In this video we are just going to put down the basic shape of the Minisite onto the page, and the first thing we need to do that is to create a new layer. So if we go over here to our layers palette and we click on this wonderful little icon here, as you can see it says create a new layer, which is exactly what we want to do. Click, and as you see, layer 1 has been created. What we'll do is we'll just rename that to something more appropriate, which is a very important thing to do actually, because if you're working on this project or maybe a project that has 50-60 layers in there, if you've got your layers named something that you can recognize, then it's much easier to work and faster and better to find the layers. So if we right click on here, layer properties, click, we can just name the layer anything we like here. I'll call it shape. You can call it anything you like as long as you remember it, but for these purposes, if you want to call them the same as me, then at least we've all got the same layer names. Okay. Alternatively, you could just double click on the text there and that brings up the options to change it to, but we've already done it now. The next thing we need to do is to select the colour for the shape, and if we go over to set foreground colour here and click on that, we need to put in the following RGB values, which are red, green and blue, and they are 13, 67 and 111, and OK that. Great. The next tool we want over in the tool palette here is the rounded rectangle tool, which is this little fella here, as you can see. Now if I click and hold down the mouse there, it brings up this other series of options, and yours actually may by default be on something other than the rounded rectangle tool. For example, just the rectangle tool or the line tool or the custom shape tool, whichever you've used previously to this, but we want the rounded rectangle tool, which is this one. Now if we go up here to the options bar, this has got a series of parameters for that particular tool, things you can change and things we will need to change. Now if you can't see this bar at present, you need to go to View and Windows and Options, and if you just click on there, that bar will appear. And we just need to make sure a few things are correct here. First of all, that we have fill pixels selected there rather than paths or shape layers. We've still got the rounded rectangle tool. Radius, that is the size of the rounded corners on the tool, as it says there, the radius of the corners. That wants to be 16. Mode normal, opacity 100, and just make sure you have anti-alias clicked on, otherwise the corners of your shape will have a not very pleasant edge to them. Now, we are almost ready to create the shape. The next thing that we want to make sure is switched on though is something called Snap to Guides, and I'll just quickly explain what that is. It's if we want to drag a shape out, but we want to position it quite accurately as we do here, so we all have the same shape. What we're going to do is use these guides to position it. But I've got Snap to Guides set on, and what that does is if I click, so for example I'll draw the shape out here, and that could be anywhere position wise. But if I drag somewhere near one of these guides, so as you can see the mouse pointer is not exactly on a guide, but if I click somewhere near it and drag the shape out, what you can see is that guide has effectively snapped, it's grabbed the shape and it's now aligning perfectly down that left hand side. And if I take the shape down towards another guide and do that very slowly, what you can see, if you just notice there, it grabs almost the shape when you get within 5 pixels or so of the guide. This is very useful for positioning things quickly, and more importantly quite accurately. So we don't want that. First of all, we'll just make sure your Snap to Guides is on. So if you go up to View and Snap down here, just make sure you have the little tick selected next to it, and then go down to Snap to and make sure again that the little tick is selected next to Guides, just to make sure that yours are working as mine are. So what we'll do is we'll go up to the top corner. Try and be as accurate as possible, because the guides don't do everything for you, as much as that would be brilliant. And click somewhere up there. As you can see, my shape is aligned to the left and the top there, and if we take it right down to the bottom where the the two guides meet, you see that the shape is grabbed there. And if I let go, we have our basic shape there. What we'll do now is we'll just save the document, because there's nothing worse than, I don't know, a power cut or your computer crashing and you lose all the work that you've done. So, start file, save as. I'm just going to call mine design PSD. Make sure it is a PSD, a Photoshop file that you have saved, rather than a JPEG or something, because that will just flatten the image completely. The benefits of a PSD is that it retains all the layer information, all the styles, everything that we apply throughout this project, and it enables you then to reopen it and go back and change anything that you like. So I'm just going to call mine design PSD, save. Do I want to replace it? Yes, I have one already saved. You possibly won't at this point, and just click OK there. Fantastic. So there we have the basic shape.